much better than this, and I'm not just talking about these fantastic costumes. Both teams needing a win on Friday Night Football. The Lions still hoping to keep pace with the Bombers for top spot in the West, while the Stampeders control their playoff fate.
BC Lions are still on the prowl and on the hunt for top spot in the West Division.
And Calgary controls their own destiny. Let's go! And that will turn over the other way. Can't come. The Stampeders go on top. Touchdown, Calgary.
Lions back for 6. Dominique is dancing.
Returns to the Stampeders lineup in a critical game after sitting out with a chest injury in the last one. On the flip side, Vernon Adams Jr., a chance to hit 5,000 passing yards. He's 347 away, saying this week it would mean a lot. I can't lie. You've got to love the honesty, and you've got to love the fact that both of these teams needing a victory to have an important game that is the second last week of the regular season. It's pretty much as good as it gets. Kate Burness alongside David Sanchez, Paul LaPolice, Jim Barker as we get set for the Stamps taking on the BC Lions. So the question is, will we see VA hit 5,000, or do the Stampeders win this game tonight, Jez?
Can they both happen?
Sure.
Yeah. Look, VA is... Look, I love the fact that he came out and said it's important to him. Because it is. Wouldn't be being honest if he didn't say that. And for me, VA needs 347 yards. And he's going to be aggressive. He's going to go down the field. And that's probably, the way the BC Lions are going to play anyway, because they have that success running. So I look forward to seeing VA let it rip and hopefully get 5,000.
Coker, offensive lineman for Calgary. Demery, those guys are in trouble tonight. Matthew Betts, right, tied the BC Lions record for sacks. Also, Canadian record for sacks with 17. He needs one more. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do tonight to break that record. He's a great football player. He's kind of the guy who stirs the drink for this defense. And early in the year when the BC Lions were killing it on defense, everybody had to have an answer how to stop him. I'm looking forward to him tonight. Seeing him break
I like
that record.
both of those record breakers over the Calgary Stampeders possibly beating the BC Lions tonight. I just think that BC, this is such a big game for them. Calgary has just been a team with no identity. They used to be a running team, but now they've kind of gotten away from that with the changes in the offensive line. No big playmakers. Tommy Lee Lewis is gone now. I don't see where they're going to get any big plays from.
And congratulations to Jake Mayer becoming a father. And Lapo, by the way, you did not answer my question. You completely turned it into Matthew Betts, which is honestly a pretty huge accomplishment if he does break the record tonight. A huge one in BC. So adorable. Are we close to Halloween already?
Oh,
a little early.
There's Chez. Where's
Chez?
that outfit? There it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you very much, Kate. A beautiful night here at Save-On Foods Field at BC Place Stadium. They're calling for a blackout. You'll see a lot of that in the stands, a lot of that with the home team. Not a scary one, just 10 days out from Halloween. A lot of fun tonight, plenty at stake for both teams. But even though it's not a must-win, and Dave Dickinson said maybe this should be a must-win, very important for Calgary.
Yeah, it absolutely is. The Calgary Stampeders kind of running out of rope here in terms of their 2023 season. But I'll tell you what, Vernon Adams is going to do everything in his power to get in their way, on the verge of a potential 5,000-yard season. The biggest thing for him, getting his team into the playoffs with some momentum. And, of course, trying to make VA's life miserable and, quite frankly, make life miserable for everyone wearing black and orange tonight. middle linebacker of the Calgary Stampeders, Micah Awe, enjoying a tremendous individual season.
Stamps head coach Dave Dickinson says we're in desperation mode. We've played better in games that we lost than we did last week, but we got some breaks. Rick Campbell, meanwhile, believes his team is still fighting for first place, and he wants to continue to keep the pressure on Winnipeg, forcing them to keep playing. Stampeders won the toss. They have elected to receive. Peyton Logan deep for the Stampeders. Stefan Flintoff will be kicking off for the home team. Kick goes deep to Logan, who takes it just inside his 10-yard line. We are underway. Ryder Varga with the tackle as Logan crosses the 30-yard line.
Well, an up and down season for Calgary Stampeders starting quarterback Jake Mayer, but pretty good week for the third-year QB, coming off a big win against Saskatchewan that has buoyed the Calgary Stampeders playoffs. So it's been a good week for him personally as well.
Absolutely, the birth of his first child, Everly. Congratulations to Jake and his wife, Amanda. We'll have more on that story a little bit later, but you can bet they are watching tonight, hoping the new dad can keep his team alive. Quick fake to Kadeem Carey. Drops back, throws, looking for Reggie Begelton. Begelton drops it. Not something you expect to see from the leader of that Stamps receiving corps.
Yeah, this is a guy they're thrilled to have back in the lineup tonight, as he's typically a tone setter for this team. You see him crossing the field right to left on your screen and just misjudged that one as it got in close to him, right through the hands. Wonder if Reggie Begelton was dealing with lights there, because as you said, Farhan, that is so out of character for the veteran receiver.
Missed last week with a chest injury. Has played in 14 games this season, and you know the Lions run a lot of man coverage. You'll probably see that look again. 2nd and 10, Mayer drops back to pass, checks it down to Carey, who bobbles it. He's brought down close to the first down, but I don't think he's going to get it. 9 yards. Brings up the first decision of the game for Dave Dickinson.
Yeah, they got kind of a screen look here with Kadeem Carey chipping off the end and then sort of sliding in behind his offensive line. If he catches that cleanly, he just might get that first down, Farhan, as that split second, I think, makes a difference.
Tommy Stevens into the game. The Stamps will go for it from their own 41. They are 20 of 22 on 3rd and short conversions this season. Empties out the backfield, slides to his left, takes that 250-plus pound frame, barrels forward for the first down of the game for the Stamps.
We'll take a look at the Calgary Stampeders offense. Along that offensive line, of course, you've got the veteran Sean McEwen, first-round pick back in 2015 out of the University of Calgary, anchoring this unit. In the receiving corps, we mentioned big boost for the Stampeders to get the veteran Reggie Begelton back, battling that chest or rib injury after taking a big hit a couple weeks ago. Sat out last week, and the Stampeders, to a man, said they missed him.
Gain of 2 on that last one. Carey gets the ball, not much room inside, manages to fight his way forward for about a 4-yard gain.
Defensively for the BC Lions, of course, when you talk about their D-line, much said always about Matthew Betts and the terrific season he's enjoyed. Woody Barron quietly playing beside him has piled up 8 sacks. Pretty good from the defensive tackle spot. Ben Platt approaching 100 tackles. He comes in with 95 on the season. Quincy Mosier moves in at safety. Adrian Green out of the lineup tonight.
2nd and 6 for Mayer and the Stampeders. Lions showing blitz. Mayer doesn't find anybody initially. Has an open receiver. That is Trey Dukes. He drops it. My goodness, what does Jake Mayer have to do here in the early going, Dwayne?
Rough start here for the Calgary Stampeder receivers. Trey Dukes is going to line up as the number 2 receiver, working in the slot. You'll see Jake Mayer spot him. A little bit of pressure, scrambled Dukes in behind coverage. And you can see he's looking to dodge Mosier in the middle of the field, looking to make a move, make a miss before he catches the ball.
Terry Williams back to take Cody Grace's punt. Penalty flag on the play. He takes it at his 15. Maybe a 6-yard return just across the 20, where BC will take over 1st and 10. We'll get you the penalty call when we come back. But this is not what Dave Dickinson is going to like. 2 drops in the first series. His Stampeders need those plays. Vernon Adams chasing 5,000 yards, but he's lucky he's even playing in this game.
Yeah, last week it was chasing down Dexter Lawson Jr. after an interception. He gets tangled up in a collision, tweaks that left knee, and was forced to leave the game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, where you saw him on the sidelines. Cumbersome brace, not looking very mobile, but VA back in the lineup here tonight to face Calgary.
And he's going to do it without one of his star receivers, Keon Hatcher, the Lions' leading receiver. A late game substitution, still dressed, isn't going to start. Vernon starts from deep in his own end, has Alexander Hollins right around the 30-yard line. They're ruling it out of bounds.
Yeah, Hollins looking to catch this one in stride, but just runs out of real estate along that right sideline. He's got pretty good separation, but you can see clearly on the white stripe as he pulls that one in.
Good call by the official. And when you have Justin McInnis in the lineup, he's had 11 starts, so he's had plenty of work, having a career season this year. But Hatcher, one of the best in the league right now. Adams on 2nd and 10, and he's got a receiver. That is McInnis at the 20-yard line, gain of 12 and a first down.
Yeah, Justin McInnis has proven so valuable for the BC Lions this season. Big target at 6'5". Originally a Saskatchewan Rough Rider draft pick.
The 40th catch of the season for McInnis. 1st and 10, this time Hardy with the carry, his second game of action with the Lions. Gain of 4 on the play.
Taking a look at this BC Lions offense. An O-line led by Suk Chung, who has started every one of his 124 games in the Canadian Football League, 2nd overall pick back in 15. And you mentioned the running back, Jaquan Hardy, making his 2nd start as the Lions try to figure out that position heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, he's 225 pounds, a little thicker than Smoke Mizell, who's still dealing with a bit of an injury, but an opportunity here as they may try to get a bit more physical in the run game going into the playoffs. Adams drops back to pass, has some time, nobody open. Adams looks to take off and run with it before being brought down. That's Julian Hauser with the sack on the play, and the Lions will punt.
Well, all kinds of time there, but just absolutely nothing coming open on the play for Vernon Adams. Keep an eye on Hauser. Has to work for this one. Initially, you can see the Lions have things blocked up pretty well, but as that closes down, Hauser eventually coming free.
The 5th sack of the season for Hauser. That leads to a Stefan Flitzoff punt. Peyton Logan takes it at his own 45-yard line. Brought down immediately by a pair of Lions, including Patrice Rene and Amir Siddiqui. When we come back, good field position for the Calgary Stampeders. And hopefully a few more catches. Vernon Adams with the early sack taken. Dave Dickinson has never missed the playoffs in his career as a player or a coach, and here's what we're talking about: a 17-year playoff streak. They've been in the playoffs 17 straight years, the 4th longest in league history, and that is on the line over these next 2 games, Dwayne.
Yeah, and Dave Dickinson obviously well aware of that streak. A guy who has spent so much of his career in Calgary, first as a player, later as a coach. Success has been synonymous with this team during his time here.
1st and 10, this time the give to Carey, cuts back inside, picks up a good gain on 1st down. Gain of 6, brings up 2nd and manageable. And here's one for you. There has always been a team from Alberta in the playoffs going back to 1938 in the old Western Rugby Union. Edmonton or Calgary has always been in, so the entire province is counting on you, Dave.
No pressure whatsoever. You see Kadeem Carey looking like he's finding his stride a little bit. An injury-riddled year for the Stampeder running back after a big 2022 season.
Carey still looking for his first touchdown of the season, passing or rushing. 2nd and 4 as the Stamps near midfield. Tommy Stevens into the game at quarterback. We've got whistles. I don't see a flag, though.
Timeout, Calgary.
Tim Croker, our official today. Timeout Calgary. Personnel issues there, and it looks like they're bringing in some additional receivers and Jake Mayer into the game.
And a situation where you may have expected the confusion to be on the BC side, personnel-wise, is Calgary had both quarterbacks on the field as well as an extra offensive lineman, so unique formation for them. Jake Mayer was lined up out wide on that play, but clearly something that the Stampeders didn't quite have ironed out, so they go back to a base set.
2 drops and a substitution issue causing a wasted time out there. Not necessarily the start you want, but good field position nonetheless here for Calgary. Second and 4. Again, the give to Carey has a crease up the middle. Good enough for a first down as he gets into BC territory at the 15-yard line.
Another good-looking run there for Kadeem Carey. He felt like that one should have gone longer distance. You'll see the work of the offensive line right here. Cuts it back behind the left guard, Ryan Sevier.
And you wonder going into this game just how much preparation time the Lions put in to defending the run, because BC's got the worst rushing offense. Calgary's 7th right now, so it's not like they've necessarily made a commitment or found their groove with the run game. Another carry to Carey. Lots of room here. Picks up the first down easily. 13 on the play.
And once again, this is Kadeem Carey looking a little more like himself. Did a stint on the 6-game injured list. Sometimes it can take a little bit of time to get back in the groove, get back in the rhythm, and it looks like with playoffs on the line, Kadeem Carey is finding that at just the right time for the Calgary Stampeders.
CFL All-Star a year ago. Peyton Logan now into the backfield for Calgary. Extra offensive lineman as well. Play action inside. Odoms Dukes. This time he catches it in front of Gary Peters. Another first down. Calgary in business at the BC 21-yard line.
Well, Jake Mayer stands in and takes a hit on this one to deliver the ball.
Both quarterbacks into the game again. Stevens comes in, Mayer stays in, so you got to empty the vault right now if you're Calgary. And
yeah,
2 quarterback look here. Pretty good way to do it. Jake Mayer splits out to the right side. All the other receivers to the left. Peyton Logan in the backfield as Tommy Stevens starts the signals. This time the quick fake. Stevens keeps it. Not much room inside. Ben Haladik right there along with David Menard to make the tackle for the BC Lions. Thibaut Debaye also there. Gain of 1 on the play brings up 2nd and long, and Stevens checks out of the game.
And on that play with Tommy Stevens taking the snap, Jake Mayer lines up on the outside. Essentially his job just to try and occupy the corner. Outside release, try and get Gary Peters' head turned.
Might have been the easiest rep Peters is going to have this season.
Yes.
No offense, Jake. This time Peters gets to cover Mark and Michelle with Mayer back into the game on 2nd and 10. Mayer drops back to pass, has time, scrambles to his left. Let's see if he takes off and runs with it. Not going to get the first down, brought down a couple of yards short at about the 13-yard line. And we know Mayer doesn't like taking off and runs with it. If he'd taken off a little bit earlier, might have had the first down there.
Yeah, you absolutely see it. Watch the open field in front of him. Once he decides to move out to his left, lots of room, but he's hesitant to go. You can see waiting. He's going to get close to that first down, but yeah, absolutely, as you said, had he been committed to running with that ball right away when he first turns to his left, they're probably moving those sticks.
A very good drive by Calgary, their 2nd of the game, and Rene Paredes comes on to attempt the field goal. You know they wanted more here. With an offense as explosive as BC's, it's going to be tough to trade touchdowns for field goals if it gets to that point. Kick is up, and it is good. Rene Paredes puts the Stampeders on the board. When we come back, Vernon Adams will try to get his offense going. Adams, a long ways away from 5,000. We'll see if he can get closer to it when we come back. Vernon Adams knows how good he's got it. All those great receivers, also these quarterbacks as well, some of whom he is chasing for that 5,000-yard mark.
Well, there it is, the history of BC Lion quarterbacks to crack the 5,000-yard passing milestone in a single season, including the opposing coach here tonight.
Jaquan Hardy with the carry, has some room. Got slowed up around the line of scrimmage, but still manages to fall forward for a gain of 4 on the play. Let's take a look at the Stamps defense.
And that defensive front gets a boost with the return of veteran Mike Moore. He steps in at defensive end, adding size and experience to that line. Cam Judge, big game last week against Saskatchewan that included a pick 6 that helped turn that game in the Stampeders' favor. Kobe Williams quietly among the Stampeder team leaders in defensive plays this season.
Stampeders look like they're showing a 3-man rush here on 2nd and 6. Adams, lots of time initially, can't find anybody open, misses Jaquan Hardy, and that pass nearly intercepted.
It almost looked as if Adams threw it blindly. Back to the backside once he scanned to his right. So you're going to see 3-man rush from the Calgary Stampeders. And quick flip here back to his right. Sails it over the receiver, Cam Judge. Almost with another pick.
Judge intercepted Adams in the season opener in Calgary back in June. This time the punt bounces. Logan picks it up. There's going to be no yards in the play. He falls forward at the 22-yard line. When we come back, it's the new father. Going to have a lot less sleep going forward. Great drive the last time out. Let's see if he can duplicate that when we come back. One of the better moments for Jake Maier on the field last week against Saskatchewan, a must-win situation. Didn't necessarily have the best statistical numbers, but in terms of a win, that's what he got, that's what he wanted. But he's also been a little bit distracted of late. With more on that story, here's Blake Price.
Yeah, guys, obviously a very big game for the Stampeders, but no claims of dad strength just yet from Jake Maier after the birth on Tuesday of young Everly Marie. He says it did give him some perspective on the important stuff in life, though, and yes, football is on that list of important stuff. He says it won't change how he plays specifically, but the desire to win and provide for his family is definitely more heightened, so you can bet he wants to win this one for Everly and maintain this playoff streak, which has lasted nearly foreverly. I thought I'd end on a dad joke.
Very good dad joke there, Blake.
Well played. Well played.
Yeah, you know, there's going to be less time for film study at home. We can assure him of that. Maier drops back to pass on 1st and 10. Looks for Trey Adams-Dukes. Not on the same page there as the ball falls incomplete. The other thing Jake told me was the dog at home is confused with this new addition. Not really sure what to do.
We'll take a look at Jake Maier's history against the BC Lions, and particularly this season, where he has certainly had his struggles, yet to crack the 200-yard mark in terms of passing yards, and a pair of losses against BC.
Vernon Adams, meanwhile, had over 300 yards in each of those games and 7 total touchdowns, including 6 in the air. But this is the one that counts as far as Maier's concerned. 2nd and 10, drops back again. Has Luther, who could have auto and almost intercepted. Gary Peters right there, and he will have nightmares about the one that got away right there.
They sure will. Gary Peters with 4 picks on the season. Was thinking about how he was going to celebrate number 5. Great jump on the football to come underneath as Hakunavanu sits down on this one. Gary Peters baiting Jake Maier into this throw.
And that's the throw that has hurt him earlier this year, that late throw to the sideline, which hangs a little bit and goes back the other way. Almost happened again there. This time a short kick by Grace goes out of bounds at the 45-yard line. BC's best starting field position of the night. Just a 30-yard kick there.
Yeah, tough bounce there. Certainly a BC bounce as that one gets on the ground.
Adams preparing to go to work.
Quiet start so far for Adams in the BC offense. Took a sack earlier, his 40th sack of the season. Rick Campbell has all the faith in the world in his quarterback and really didn't hesitate after Monday in terms of declaring Adams as the starter. Some extra linemen into the game right now. This time the play action fake. Cam Judge on the way. Adams trying to escape. He is brought down again. Micah Awe with the sack.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders decide to send the heat.
Loss of 3 seconds.
On this one, Micah Awe, who started his career here in BC. There you see the Stampeder middle linebacker. A little delayed on the blitz. The Lions slow to react in terms of picking that one up.
That brings up 2nd and 13 after the 3-yard loss. Adams takes the snap, just 3-man pressure by Calgary. This time a shot over the middle to McInnes. This one is intercepted. That is Kobe Williams, crosses midfield, gets across the BC 40, has blockers out in front before being taken out of bounds, and that ball just sailed on Adams.
Well, we mentioned Kobe Williams quietly making plays for the Calgary Stampeders. 7 knockdowns for him on the year. That his 2nd INT. Justin McInnes was the intended receiver. It appeared on this one, but as you said, this ball gets away, sailing over the intended target. Williams over the top. Makes an easy pick.
Calgary seems to have a lot of success right now with 3-man pressure so far in this game. They brought pressure on the previous play when BC had extra blockers and showed them early. 3 receivers to the right. Kadeem Carey with the carry. Short gain on the play before being wrapped up by a host of Lions. Sione Chukema and Bola combo there.
And where we have seen Kadeem Carey at his best, both in the past and in this game, is when he's straight downhill. This time the Lions, as they get him running sideways, do a nice job stacking things up defensively and limiting any sort of forward momentum, stopping Carey for a loss there.
Gain of 2 just inside the 17-yard line. Calgary had to settle for a field goal the last time. You know they want to come away with 7 here. Mayer drops back, looks to his right. Kadeem Carey is there. Throw a little behind him, but he makes the catch. Brought down, should have the first down as he gets inside the 10-yard line.
A nice effort here. Carey was open right away as he's got that free release to the flat on the play. You see him right in the foreground of the picture. Has to hold up for that ball, making it a tough catch. Plucking that one off the shoestrings. Advancing his way to a first down.
That sets up 1st and goal for Calgary from the BC 8-yard line on what should be the final play of the quarter. Let's see if the Stamps can end it with a bang here. 3 receivers to the left. Mayer drops back the pass. Looking deep to Hakunavanu and a touchdown for the Stampeders. Perfect throw, drops it into the Canadian.
Yeah, Luther Hakunavanu had a big catch for the Stampeders last week to set up a score. Gets a TD of his own right here. Nice touch on this ball from Jake Mayer. Clean pocket for the Stampeder quarterback and just drops it in there to Hakunavanu, the former York University Lion.
Quincy Mosier gets caught behind the play, and Calgary with 7 points off the Vernon Adams interception. Rene Paredes on to attempt the field goal, trying to give his team a 10-point lead. The kick is up, and it is good. The Stampeders end the first quarter with a touchdown, and they are in control going to break in what is not a must-win game, but they sure are playing like it is. Welcome back to BC Place. The Stampeders in control. I'm not sure what was more impressive here, their offensive numbers or what they're doing defensively to BC's offense.
Yeah, and the thing that stands out to me is the recovery by Calgary, as they looked a little shaky out of the gate as you consider their first offensive possession, dropped by Reggie Begelton, dropped by Trey Odoms-Dukes. That first possession, the mistakes, the drops cost them points, but they've rebounded from that nicely, made a couple of big plays. I thought the nice catch by Kadeem Carey, followed by the touchdown catch by Hakunavanu, maybe erasing or at least numbing the feeling of those earlier drops for the Stampeder receivers.
Stampeders had that ball for over 10 minutes in the first quarter. And as we talk about Vernon Adams' chase for 5,000, might want to get to 50 first.
Baby steps.
Paredes with the kickoff. Drops in front of Terry Williams, takes it at his own 15-yard line. Not much doing there. Let's take a look at that Stamps touchdown again after the Adams turnover.
Yeah, and you'll see Hakunavanu initially lines up on the left side of this formation, is going to work his way all the way across the field. Gets a step on the defender, Moget, who's maybe anticipating that he's going to bounce back to the front side or to the left side on that play. Delays his chase, and Hakunavanu and Mayer take advantage.
Moget had lost his spot at safety to Adrian Green, they were moving positions around there, but he gets back into the starting lineup. Now the quick pass to Javon Catoy. Muscles his way for a gain of about 6. Cam Judge with the tackle.
Very versatile Javon Catoy. You see him starting off in the backfield on this play. Approaching 800 yards receiving on the season. Also counted on heavily. Many blocking schemes for the Lions.
Gain of 6, 2nd and 4 for BC. Just 1 first down in that first quarter. Adams drops back to pass. 4-man pressure. The quick hitter. That time Dominic Rhymes should be good enough for the first down as he crosses the 35-yard line. Call it the 37. Another 6 on that play.
Well, we know how dangerous Dominic Rhymes can be in this BC Lions offense. He's missed some time this season, but in spite of that,
this time the screen set up to Hardy, and that looked like a mess right from the get-go as Adams had to throw its sidearm around a defender before it fell incomplete.
Yeah, and maybe just as well to get the incompletion rather than the risk of losing yards here. Mike Rose threw quickly to break that one up. Hardy unable to haul it in.
Dave Dickinson talked about this, the need to get pressure without having to blitz consistently, and so far in this game, he's been able to generate that.
Yeah, absolutely. As he says, the best teams can get pressure with 4. We've seen a lot of 3-man rush from Calgary early on.
2nd and long, Adams drops back to pass. He is brought down again. This time, Mike Moore, and we've got an injured Lion on the play as well. Javon Catoy down. We've also got Brandon Dozier down. Catoy pops back up, but the 3rd sack already, and we're less than 18 minutes into this game. And Calgary's front, which hasn't had a lot of success, is having plenty in this game.
Yeah, here you see Mike Moore. We've talked about his versatility as a defensive lineman. A lot of experience at both tackle and end in this league. So you see a collision there between Javon Catoy and Brandon Dozier. Both guys shaken up, but I think the much smaller Dozier taking the worst of that one, as he's still down on the field being attended to.
Brandon Dozier, who began his career, actually didn't begin it, but played earlier back in 2019 here with the Lions. Certainly been a stabilizing force in the secondary since making his way to Calgary. The Lions again, after a first down to begin that drive, lose yardage, continue to take sacks, and will punt the ball away. Peyton Logan deep to receive the Stefan Flintov punt. Sidewinding kick, which is taken at his 36-yard line. A little bit of room to the left, but that is closed up very quickly. Josh Woods, the first man there to stop Peyton Logan. When we come back, Calgary will look to continue the momentum from that last drive. BC Lions linebacker Ben Hladek in pursuit of 100 tackles on the season, already 3 tonight to get to 98.
Yeah, tremendous season for Ben Hladek. You can see the exclusivity of that club of Canadians to crack the century mark. Only 3 different guys have done it before. They all did it twice. So I don't know, Ben may need to do it like more than just this season to be accepted by that club.
Ben's brother Brad is a tight end at UBC. They were victims to probably the upset of the year in Canada West last week. They lost to Calgary, who hadn't won a game to that point, so we'll see if Calgary BC can repeat itself at the professional level here tonight.
Yes, Ben looking for a little bit of redemption for the West Coast crew.
Kadeem Carey with 2 yards on that last run brings up 2nd and 8 for Calgary. And Calgary's enjoyed very good field position so far in this first half. Hladek with the tackle on that last one gets him up to 99. This time the throw back inside, that's Colton Hunchak with the catch. Likely comes up just short of the first down. But you saw Calgary aggressive the last time out. Tommy Stevens comes into the game. You know they're going to go for it here on 3rd and 1.
A quick crosser from Hunchak here.
That's actually Tucker with the reception that time. The rookie out of Northern Illinois.
A lot of depth in terms of Canadian receivers for Calgary, but they have needed it with injuries this season.
This time Stevens slides right. 2 more yards, easy. First down, Calgary.
Stampeders continuing to do a good job of keeping that BC defense on the field. Look at the job they've done with Kadeem Carey running the football and grinding it out a little bit here. See if they can take some of the legs out of the Lions pass rush led by Matt Betts.
Betts hasn't been in this series as the Lions continue to rotate pass rushers. Siddiqui and Menard now on the ends with this group. Calgary with 1 extra lineman in the game right now. Mayer drops back to pass. Looks to his left. Has a receiver. Almost has it intercepted again. That time it was Mike Jones stepping in front of Luther Akunavanu.
A long throw out to the sideline. Right here you can see Jones' eyes peering inside the whole way. And the time it takes for the ball to get there, he recovers with that reverse turn. There you see the tip, and he just wasn't able to get to it off that deflection, but nice defensive play. The well-traveled Mike Jones nonetheless.
Getting his 2nd straight start in the absence of Jalen Edwards-Cooper, 2nd and 10. This time the line showing pressure. They bring it. Mayer looks to the right, looks for Akunavanu again, and that one is incomplete. The Stampeders bench calling for pass interference. Nothing there on that play, and Calgary will be forced to punt.
Yeah, looking for that back shoulder or throw behind. Here was Mayer, but this one tails off. Low and outside, Akunavanu unable to get back to the football.
Much needed stop for BC after Calgary's offense had been rolling to that point. Grace on the punt. High, short kick. Williams takes it at the 15-yard line. Short gain on the play before being pushed out of bounds. BC again takes it over inside their own 25-yard line. Dominic Rhymes with 1 catch on the night. Had one last week, but it resulted in a touchdown. We'll see if the Lions offense can get on track when we come back. first half so far for Vernon Adams and the Lions offense. He's got as many completions as he's taken sacks. 3 of each, just 26 yards passing for the Lions quarterback. Lions starting at their own 22-yard line. This time the give to Hardy, and there are a lot of Calgary Stampeders there. Nothing doing at all. Micah Awe with the tackle. No gain on the play. Brings up another 2nd and long. Javon Catoy coming back into the game for the Lions. And Brandon Dozier also back in for Calgary, so neither of those two worse the wear.
And you see BC here trying to attack a little more on the perimeter in the run game, but look at that swarm of white and red jerseys run into the football. Be an indication of the sense of urgency here for the Calgary Stampeders.
Calgary showing blitz this time. Adams drops back to pass. Has a receiver, almost has an interception. He was looking for Hollins, but Cam Judge gets his hands on a pass for the 2nd time tonight.
And you get a sense of the athleticism of Cam Judge. Outstanding Canadian linebacker for the Calgary Stampeders. Getting back in coverage, he's there. The hip pocket of 1,000-yard receiver Alexander Hollins.
BC with 2 1,000-yard receivers. Looks like we've got a challenge on the play. Rick Campbell possibly looking for some sort of illegal contact downfield. Not sure there was interference on that play. Maybe something else.
The play will be reviewed.
Rick Campbell with 7 challenges this season. He's just had 1 successful challenge. We'll see if that changes when we come back. Calgary with a 10-0 lead here in BC. Dwayne, at first look, we didn't think this was pass interference, but from this look, does Judge get there early?
Split second. Yeah, you saw right at the top of your screen as Judge is dropping into coverage. He's looking at the quarterback, and I think as he's running to the football, just doesn't even see the receiver and runs through him a little early.
Let's hear what Tim Croker has to say.
After review, we have pass interference against Calgary number 4. First down BC at the spot of the foul.
Lions with a first down. That was close. If it was interference, it wasn't by much. And Rick Campbell now 2 of 8 this season on challenges.
Well, very timely one there in a game where the Calgary Stampeders have held the momentum. Rick Campbell strategically using that one to looking to snuff out some of Calgary's momentum in this ballgame.
Well, and I think that's what that call was about. He has been very conservative with challenges this year, waiting till the end. There have been more egregious plays than that he refused to challenge, but I think he sensed his team needed something here.
Absolutely.
BC at the 37 now. Adams drops back to pass. The quick throw to Dom Rhymes, who slips on the play, winds up falling forward for a gain of 8. If he had stayed on his feet earlier, first down might have been there for him.
Yeah, tough break on the footing there for Rhymes as he makes a nice move to sort of get off the spot when he initially catches this football and give himself a little bit of room to work, but then blows a tire and unable really to ever get back on good footing. So it's going to leave the Lions a couple yards short here on 2nd down.
Yeah, 2nd and 2. They haven't been able to get much going with Jaquan Hardy. Looks like they're going to attempt it here. Hardy gets the first down and more, close to midfield to the 53-yard line, and a 2nd consecutive first down for the Lions. We haven't seen that yet tonight.
And the challenge pays off for Rick Campbell as here you see Hardy making a nice move just to beat Derek Wigan, who had cracked the Lions offensive front to get into the backfield.
8-yard gain on the play as the Lions looked across midfield for the first time tonight. Rhymes coming inside. Looks like he's going to help with the blocking. Another carry for Hardy. Skips through a would-be tackler. Good pickup on first down. Gain of 6 on the play.
And it'll be interesting to see if the Lions look to lean on this run game a little bit, particularly if they're able to extend this drive. maybe slow things down a little bit and give their defense a little bit of a break in a game where Calgary has dominated the time of possession so far.
Offensive coordinator Jordan McSimic seeing what he can adjust with here as Calgary continues sending 3 or 4 rushers at best here. That's stymied BC to this point. 3-man pressure here as that ball gets checked down to Hardy. Close to first down yards, but he cannot get away from Moxie, and he is going to come up short, more than a yard short here. So an interesting decision coming up for BC. Not in Sean White field goal range, but almost 2 yards to go here.
Yeah, it looks like they got a decent spot, maybe closer to a yard. And given the field position inside Calgary territory, I think you're in fairly comfortable gambling ground right here.
Adams stays into the game. They don't go with the short yardage crew here, but a big play early in the game. If BC comes up short, Calgary's going to have outstanding field position. Calgary this time shows blitz, but doesn't. The corner out. McKinnis has it out of bounds. Great catch by the Canadian receiver. Good enough for a first down to the 35-yard line.
Well, we've talked about it throughout this season. As you take a look, Justin Hardy, the number 2 receiver here in this trips formation, but the depth, this is a guy who filled in when Dom Rhymes was out of the lineup. Now with Hatcher out, McKinnis coming up big.
Lions finally on a drive. This time the fake looks inside. Couture's got it inside the 20-yard line.
Nice read here from Vernon Adams. Simple combination of routes. So you're going to see the running back Hardy releases to the flat. That pulls the linebacker out and opens up the window for Couture on the inside. A nice high percentage throw for VA.
Lions going tempo on this drive. Looks like Alexander Hollins on the left side isn't completely sure of his assignment. Adams with the quick drop. This time again, Couture with the reception. Rumbles to the goal line. Gets stopped at about the 2. And then he gets into it with the defender, whose helmet comes off on the play. Couture signaling for a first down. This will be an interesting call right here.
Nick Taylor lobbying with the officials.
There are 2 misconduct fouls on the play, one by Calgary number 28 and BC 86. It's first down.
Seems like the right call.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Couture intended this to be going after Taylor specifically, but obviously you need to be aware of what you're doing in your celebration and your whereabouts.
Yeah, it's a standard celebration for Couture, but yeah, the defender's right there, and you know he can see him a little bit, so.
Yeah.
Taylor with the retaliation after his helmet gets taken off. And the Lions first and goal from the 2-yard line. Dom Davis into the game with the short yardage package. Hollins in motion. Davis close to the goal line. Stampeder players are suggesting it could be a fumble. Let's see what happens here. Big ruling coming up. Was it a fumble and a Calgary recovery? Officials trying to sort through all the traffic, so. And it looks like it is Calgary's ball. Just a massive stop at the goal line. Dom Davis can't get it done, and he has struggled with this unit from time to time. None more so than right there.
Yeah, absolutely huge. It looked like Davis was going to go in as they got a good push over the center.
Clearly the ball's out before he's down.
Yeah, no question. Cameron Judge, one of those who was in on the hit on the BC Lions quarterback.
You go back to the Winnipeg game, 3rd and short. BC's unable to convert with Davis. Massive turn of events in that game, and now it happens down here. Calgary takes over from their own 1-yard line. Long field to go, but they'll take it rather than giving up 7 there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. BC's best offensive drive of this game, 10 plays, 87 yards to march it down. Included a challenge by head coach Rick Campbell to keep that drive alive, but all for naught. This Stampeders recover the fumble.
The give right now to Kadeem Carey. Has a bit of room. Gets across the 5-yard line. Good gain from the 1. Picks up half the yardage needed to get the first down.
Yeah, always in this part of the field, you're just looking for a little bit of breathing room that opens up your offensive options somewhat. Good start there for Kadeem Carey.
And avoid having to throw around the goalpost.
Yeah, exactly.
Cole Tucker checking into the game for Calgary.
It's so important in this situation for BC not to get caught back on their heels or hanging their heads after the turnover, as they still have a great chance to get the ball back in good field position with a defensive stop.
2nd and 5 here. Mayer drops back to pass. BC brings pressure. Bagleton with the catch. That's good enough for a first down. That takes us to the 3-minute warning as the Stamps dig themselves out of a hole. When we come back, the Lions trying to get the ball back and some points before the end of the half.
Coming up at the half, we would like to retract what we said before this game when we all thought that VA was hitting 5,000 and there was no chance that Calgary would win. But guess what? It's CFL football. Anything can happen. But so far, so good for Calgary. We'll chat more in a bit.
This is why I never go to Kate or Davis for betting advice. A sure way to lose right there. Big first down on the play. We thought on the replay it might have been bobbled, but I don't think the ball ever hit the ground. Kadeem Carey trying to slice and dice his way through the line of scrimmage there. 6 more for the Stampeders running back. And he's been the wild card in this game. We haven't talked a lot about Kadeem Carey this season. He's been injured for much of it. Hasn't necessarily been himself when he's been in the game, but he's played a big part in Calgary's success here in the first half.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he looked terrific in my opinion doing it. Seems to be a little more jump in his step than we have seen to this point in 2023. He comes into the game as the Stampeders' second leading rusher, with Dedrick Mills having had the load of the Lions' share of the carries thus far.
And he will make Jake Mayer that much better. Matthew Betts into the sack, but I don't think it's his. BC is able to bring Mayer down. I think it is Woody Barron, although they're all pointing at Betts. They want Betts getting credit for this. I'm not sure it was his.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Betts is trying to claim this, but his teammates are sure trying to give him credit for this one. We'll have a look close up.
There's also a penalty flag on the play. Betts gets there and Mayer starts going down while Betts is in contact. So maybe it is his. Let's see what the call is. Looks like it's going against BC.
Major foul, misconduct foul, unnecessary roughness against BC number 47. It's a 15-yard penalty and a first down.
Sione Tuhema with the penalty. And I'll tell you this, Dwayne, this is a huge problem for BC this season. They have taken 62 defensive penalties this year, most in the league, and it's happened often on second down.
Yeah, I was going to say, these are the ones that drive you nuts. When you're a coach, keep an eye right there, away from the tackle with the headbutt. And then the punch later. You had the other team off the field. You did your job defensively. You've won. There's no need for the personal battle. And I'm sure that's the message from the coaching staff as they watch Calgary now get a second chance.
Yeah, it might be the easiest call an official has to make tonight. No way you can't call that. And that has been a big issue, like I said, during the second half of the season. The 63rd defensive penalty for the Lions. Remember, this drive started at the 1 after a fumble by Dom Davis going in for the touchdown. 2:08 to go here, and Calgary's got another life.
Yeah, you get a big defensive stand, including the Betts sack. With Calgary still relatively deep in their own territory, he let them off the hook with a dead ball foul.
And so much going on there, we haven't celebrated the fact that we have a new sack leader as far as Canadians go, with 18 sacks for Matthew Betts.
Yeah, first Canadian ever to hit that. He had been tied with former Lion Brent Johnson as well as former Blue Bomber Jamal Westerman. Those guys both having hit 17 sacks in the past. Matthew Betts now stands alone at 18.
Kind of a bittersweet sack in that moment. You can see he was sheepishly celebrating it in the huddle.
We see one of the all-time Lions greats, Canadian Football Hall of Famer, Kingston, Ontario's Brent Johnson.
And the news could get worse for BC right here as far as how they're going to be dealing with Tuhema, who is checked back into the game. We'll see if he gets to take another snap here. Officials communicating the situation to Rick Campbell. Brent Johnson had hoped to be here tonight, but it's his wife Lara's birthday, so they're out celebrating that. She didn't want to come to a game.
I'm sure she's watched more than her share of BC Lions football games over the years. But nonetheless, congratulations to Matthew Betts.
Tim Croker with the call.
After review by the command center, there still is the misconduct, unnecessary roughness against BC number 47, and another unnecessary roughness misconduct against BC 47. There's also a misconduct, unnecessary roughness against Calgary number 60. It will be first down.
So an ejection for Sione Tuhema, who's been a big part of this Lions defense this season. Tuhema with 7 sacks thus far, not going to get a chance for 8 in the regular season.
And here's a look back at why Sione Tuhema is headed for the showers early tonight.
I'm trying to see what Demery did to earn his. Rick Campbell, as you'd expect, furious with his player. Kadeem Carey in the middle of that defense. That's actually Peyton Logan, and he does what his teammate did. Very positive gain on first down.
Yeah, the Stampeders' offensive line and running backs. Certainly one of the big stories of the first half of this ball game. Logan, as we know, come on to spell Carey from time to time. Another tackle there for Ben Plotnick, by the way, but not after. About an 8-yard pickup for Logan.
Maybe a yard and a half to go here. Tommy Stevens into the game. Stevens slides to his left, no problem again. Gets to the 35-yard line for a first down. Calgary chewing up clock and chewing up yardage as we go here.
Well, and the clock piece is big. We always talk about the explosiveness of the BC Lions offense. The less opportunity they have to be on the field, fewer possessions they have, obviously, fewer opportunities they have to hurt you. No doubt that's part of the offensive thinking and in terms of big picture complementary football for the Calgary Stampeders. Help out their defense by keeping VA standing on the sideline.
Carey back into the game, 1st and 10. Lions showing pressure. Carey brought down, fights for a few extra yards before Josh Banks finally wrestles him down, but not after a gain of close to 4.
Kadeem Carey had to fight for every one of those yards. Josh Banks is going to stuff things up in the middle. 6'4", 290-pounder. The unsung heroes of this BC Lions defense.
2nd and 6. Calgary going slow, using up as much clock as they can as we get close to a minute to go in this first half. The give again to Carey. All sorts of room on the left side. Ben Haladic finally brings him down, but not before a very good gain close to midfield for the Calgary running back. And if Carey can keep playing like this, he becomes a game changer, not just now, but in the playoffs.
Yeah, watch for Carey going right on your screen. Mayer going left, which slows that pursuit a little bit.
51 yards, 52 yards so far on this drive for Calgary, which started at their own 1 yard line, aided by a penalty. This time, another drop. Trey Odom's Dukes. The third drop of the game for Calgary. Would have been a game of close to 8, and that'll bring up 2nd and 10 for Calgary.
Odom's Dukes going down to get this low throw. As he's sliding, that one's off his fingertips.
Stampeders 6 for 12 on 2nd down so far in this game. The 10th play of this drive. Looks like offside on the play. There's movement. You think it's BC.
Offside, BC number 90. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
Smart use of the cadence there.
Yeah, Matthew Betts lines up inside on this one. We know he's got a quick first step, but that one looked just a little too quick.
Brings up 2nd and very manageable as Calgary crosses midfield. And now if you're Calgary, on a drive that started at your own 1 where you've been going slow to try to kill the half, you might be thinking about scoring here. 49 seconds to go, 2nd and 5. The give again. This time Logan gets the edge and he gets a first down. TJ Lee complaining about being held, no flag. And again, Calgary's running game is taking over this game.
Yeah, nice misdirection here, and Calgary attacking at various points using all 65 yards of width of this field in their run game. We've seen a lot of Kadeem Carey between the tackles, but now both he and Logan getting after the perimeter.
Calgary already close to field goal range here now at the BC 45-yard line. Mayer drops back to pass. Lots of time. Signaling to Reggie Bagleton to go deep. That ball is up. Bagleton makes the catch.
Oh, wow.
At the goal line, Bagleton with a sensational play. TJ Lee in coverage, and the Stampeders on the verge of a 109-yard touchdown drive.
If we had Dave Dickinson mic'd up on this one, when this ball was thrown, it might have sounded something like, no! But Reggie Bagleton saves this one. Jake Mayer sends him deep, but the ball hangs up and TJ Lee is there in coverage. But Bagleton goes up over top of the defender to make a spectacular catch.
Tommy Stevens into the game from the 1-yard line where they have had plenty of success. Penalty flags on the play. Stevens into the end zone. Touchdown Calgary. What a drive. You can tell which team is motivated tonight.
Offside, BC. Penalties declined. The result of the play is a touchdown. Numbers 33.
Well, both these teams still in playoff races. The Lions obviously clinging to hopes of catching Winnipeg for first place in the West. Calgary battling for 3rd place in their playoff lives with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, whom they defeated last week. Tommy Stevens will get credit for the touchdown, but Reggie Bagleton with a monster catch to set that one up.
12 plays, 109 yards, 329. Paredes with the kick, which is good. And Calgary all over BC, 17-0. And I can't tell you how impressive that play is by Reggie Bagleton, because when we talked to Dave Dickinson, he was confident Bagleton would start, but was clear he is dealing with something, and yet he is making tough catches like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Bagleton, you can see him crossing the 25-yard line, gets waved deep on the play. Looks like he's well covered. TJ Lee in pretty good position, but Bagleton wins the jump ball, setting up the Tommy Stevens plunge. Much to the joy of Jake Mayer. head coach Dave Dickinson, who are out to that 17-point first-half lead.
And Calgary's full value here, but you know, one of the things Dickinson talked about to us a couple of days ago was they haven't gotten breaks. And he said in the games that they have lost, sometimes they've played better than what happened last week against Saskatchewan, but they got some breaks against Saskatchewan. 2 interceptions that were in BC hands don't happen. You get a jump ball play there, that happens. They're playing great, but they're also being rewarded with a few plays. Terry Williams takes that short kick, crosses the 40-yard line. And if you're BC, this is not what you want to go into the playoffs with, this type of performance, because they're off next week.
Absolutely not. And by the way, let's not forget a goal line fumble among the breaks going Calgary's way. A 14-point swing there as BC looks like they're on their way in for a touchdown. The Stampeders turned that into 7 points off the turnover on the 109-yard drive.
Calgary with 14 points off turnovers, and I'm guessing Kate and the panel will be starting there. 21 seconds to go here. Will Adams try to get this team, or will he be able to get this team into field goal range? Calgary brings 4. This time the completion to Justin McInnes. McInnes breaks one tackle down to the 34-yard line. 13 seconds to go. The Lions in field goal range. Let's see what they do here. Might not be enough time to get to the end zone, but maybe they take a shot here. Gain of 33.
Yeah, and this one hurts you when you're Calgary and you've got all the momentum. You've played well in the first half of this ball game, but BC, with so little time and a chance to get points on the board, as we see Sean White and the field goal team heading out onto the field.
Yeah, 13 seconds to go. See if Calgary calls timeout here. But BC doesn't want to mess around. They're probably going to try to run this down. Actually, you can't here with the first down. Yeah, rather than take a dangerous chance at the end zone the way things have been going.
Yeah, once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah, BC lets the clock wind down. Sean White with the 40-yarder. The kick is up. The kick is good. The Lions salvage something out of a first half which has been all Calgary. Let's send it down to Blake Price, who's with the star of this first half. Calgary running back Kadeem Carey.
Kadeem, what do you say about that first half? Your team came out flying.
We did come out flying, man. I'm proud of them. We came out like we were supposed to, and now we got to finish it.
Both you and Logan with success along the ground. 2 early drops. Nobody got flustered, did they?
No, not at all. I mean, can't catch everything. We was on. Focus was moving on to the next play. Reggie moved on to the next play, and you saw what happened. Big play.
Did you guys come into this thinking this is must win?
Oh, it's must win. I mean, we started playoff mode last week, so it's good to see how we are playing playoff mode and went up 17-0. They accidentally got the 3, but now we got to shut it down.
Best of luck in the second half.
Thank you. Love you, Mommy.
Let's send it back to Kate at Mission Control.
And alongside David Sanchez, Paul LaPolice, Jim Barker, and it was all Calgary Stampeders. A nice drive by the Lions at the end ends up with a field goal. We've got ourselves a 17-3 football game. And we've been talking about these teams peaking at the right time. And we mentioned the Hamilton Tiger Cats and what they're doing. And watching Calgary, they looked like they were on a mission in this first half here, especially Kadeem Cash and Carey. Him and Peyton Logan running the ball oh so well. He's already got 62 yards on the ground. And Coach has mentioned he was dynamite in that first half.
Well, they're attacking the BC Lions, where I think the BC Lions, you know, if they have a weakness, they're small on the defensive front, and you can run right at them. We watched Winnipeg do that to them in a big ball game, and that's exactly what Calgary's doing. They are running the ball right at them. They had 93 yards rushing, 99 yards passing, but along with that, they play a lot of man coverage, and when they do that, it gives you the opportunity to throw the ball long, and you're not going to get as good a run support from your secondary, because when they're in zone, they're looking at the ball, they're able to come up. In man-to-man, they're running off, and you're able to get the big runs. And here you see the big play for the touchdown. So just a fantastic game plan by Calgary. They dropped 2, yet they still, you got to say it was great execution by the Stampeders in that first half.
Yeah, and the BC Lions offense is really struggling. They've got 2 they got 2 turnovers already in this game. They've got 2 sacks. They've only got 23 yards rushing. And before that last drive, 93 total yards. And here's the problem for the BC Lions. When your quarterback is struggling or your O-line is struggling, what you'd like to do as a play caller is get your run game going. Start running the football. And that's just not in BC's DNA, guys. So if they're going to get back into this game, they're going to have to throw the ball. No better example than it was 3rd and 2, guys. And every team in the league's probably going to run the ball on 3rd and 2. What did they do? They threw 12 yards for a completion because they just don't have a lot of faith in their run game. And so expect the ball to be up in the air this second half.
Yeah, they lack motivation, and I don't know why. This is a big game for them. I don't know if it's 2 weeks ago with the Winnipeg game or what it is, but it's evident in Calgary up front. They're kicking their butt up front, and so if you look at how this game's playing out, VA. He's sitting in the pocket holding the ball way too long. We said it from the first couple series, and I don't want to over talk the 5,000 yards situation, but the reality of this is he's looking like he wants to get the ball down the field, at least early. And with Calgary and Brent Munson and that defense getting after him, he hasn't been able to do it. And then on the back end, I don't see guys getting open or getting separation. So, and this is a group of receivers that are talented, and I don't doubt for a minute that they can get open, but they haven't been able to tonight.
And Tahoma getting that terrible ejection. That hurts their roster. They have 1 less guy on the defensive line. Just a terrible penalty. Not great focus.
And as we said, too, this is just not the way you want to go in to the bye and then into the postseason. I mean, you got to think they'll pick it up in the second half. And even with VA, he's only 231 away from the 5,000. As you said, too, the ball's going to be up in the air in the second half. It might be possible, but so far, all Stampeders. And one team watching this game tonight, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We're going to talk them and the Argos right after this.
Welcome to the main event. Let the lights go down, and when the smoke clears, I'ma show you how. I can tell we gonna meet again. You leaving with a frown, me I'm leaving with the crown. How you like me now? Welcome to the main event. Let the lights go down, and when the smoke clears, I'ma show you how. I can tell we gonna meet again. You leaving with a frown, me I'm leaving with the crown. Welcome to the main event.
Doubleheader for you starting on Saturday afternoon. First up, it is the Toronto Argonauts taking on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. You can see that 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, and then it all wraps up with the Elks taking on the Bombers, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. But let's talk a little more about those Saskatchewan Roughriders. And look, they're watching this game with a ton of intent right now, and it's not looking great for them. But just overall, they're at home. They're on a 6-game slide. They need to come out firing against this Argos team, who is going to be playing a lot of their players and still wants these victories. This is going to be fascinating to watch the start of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a team that's got to come out, like you said, got to come out fast. I think there's a lot of pressure from within. You look at, they're playing at home in front of that crowd, and they're playing against a Toronto team that's highly motivated. You wouldn't think in a spot like this they'll be motivated, but there's a lot of pressure. I'm interested to see what happens here as they come out, because if they don't come out and play well early, this crowd could get restless. This could be a tough game, because you look at right now, Toronto is obviously going for something. They want that record, and they're a team that doesn't turn the ball over. The quarterback does not get sacked. They do all the right things Toronto does. It's going to be this is difficult for Sask at home.
Yeah, I love your point on that. Defensively, they used to be a great defense. No, they're last in sacks. They're 8th in takeaways, and they give up the most passing TDs in CFL. Quarterback-wise, they've struggled quarterback all season. I was on radio this week in Saskatchewan. They asked me about the playoff teams. Well, the 3 playoff teams, the top-tier guys, have great defense. BC, Toronto, Winnipeg, and they have great quarterback play. So until that changes in Saskatchewan, it's going to be very hard for them, Jim, to get better.
Well, for the Riders, it's not a game against the Argonauts. What the Argonauts do has no bearing on them. They better get their stuff together. They need to figure out what they are. Are they going to run the ball, or are they going to throw the ball? Are they going to be a defense that tackles well? they need to figure themselves out. I think that's the number one thing with the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
This is going to be a fascinating game tomorrow. Meanwhile, in this game right now, some breaking news. Dane Evans will be in the second half. It is a coach's decision by the BC Lions. We'll see what will happen there. We got stats coming up next. Stamps up big.
Setting up the Tommy Stevens plunge.
Stamps have been great on the ground already, 93 rushing yards, and maybe no 5,000 for VA now, JB.
Yeah, it sounds like he's coming out of the game. 14 points off 2 turnovers by the Lions for the Stampeders. But physically, 93 yards rushing to 23, 3 sacks by the Stampeders, only 1 by the Lions. That's where the game's being won, is in the trenches.
Dane Evans and company, a lot of work to do after this. We have Rick Campbell standing by with our Blake Price to explain the change at quarterback. That's next.
Not a great night for the home team, but the folks from Calgary are certainly dancing up a storm tonight. Here's Vernon Adams in the locker room wishing the rest of his teammates luck for the second half, as we found out that he will not continue. Not a health decision. Here's Blake Price.
Rick, tell us about the decision to go with Dane Evans.
Yeah, it's just my call. Vernon's completely healthy. I'm feeling good just based on the score. We're going to go try to win this game, but we're going to try to do it with Dane, and I need VA to be a hero in the playoffs, not today.
What was not happening for Vernon in that first half?
Nothing. We had 2 good drives to end it. We should have scored a touchdown, and we kicked a field goal, and it's it's going to be a ball game. But just in my call, based on a gut feeling, I want VA rocking and rolling in the playoffs, and he's feeling good right now, and I want to keep it that way.
Good luck in the half.
Thanks.
Adams 9 of 13 for 116 yards and the 1 interception. Also took 3 sacks in that half. I don't think he played that poorly. This probably isn't a bad decision for Rick Campbell given the situation.
Yeah, the way that this went down, as you heard Rick Campbell talk about it, their last 2 offensive possessions were pretty good. We kind of forgot about their drive to get down to the 1-yard line because of the turnover and obviously the result in Calgary drive before that. But Vernon Adams seemed like he had sort of found his way after a slow start offensively. But I think this is something that was in Rick Campbell's mind before this game.
Yeah, at this point, 5,000 might be a little bit much to ask, so you might as well give Evans some reps and try to make sure your quarterback stays protected, because sacks earlier were an issue.
Well, we'll take a look at the first half and some of the heat that Vernon Adams faced from the Calgary Stampeders defense. A couple of sacks early. Julian Hauser picking one up on the opening possession. Micah Alway tracking him down later. So no doubt these are some of the plays. As you see the Mike Moore sack there. But the kind of plays that Rick Campbell's looking at when he decides to get his starting quarterback out of this ball game.
Evans, the hero late last week against Hamilton, going 4 for 4. First completion right here is for a loss of a yard.
Well, Trey Roberson all over that one as we take a look of Dane Evans at Dane Evans' 2023 season. Former Hamilton Tiger Cat. Acquired via trade in the offseason once Hamilton had picked up Bo Levi Mitchell, adding depth and experience to the Lions QB room, and that paid off in a big way in the win in Steeltown last week.
His passes last week were his first in 71 days. Evans drops back to pass, 4-man pressure again. Evans escapes, finds an open receiver, Lucky Whitehead, but he drops the ball. Ball slightly behind him. He did have to dive for it. Nonetheless, a catchable pass. BC's got a punt. And you know this opening possession was a big deal after kicking the field goal late.
Yeah, a double clutch here for Lucky Whitehead as he's lunging on that one. But regardless of how that possession turns out, looking at Dane Evans' history, his career resume, certainly putting him in the game is by no means conceding when you're the BC Lions. This is a guy who's led his team to the Grey Cup game a couple of times.
54-yard kick by Stefan Flintoff. Peyton Logan brings it back out to the 35-yard line, and a lot of flags on the play right here.
This is the BC Lions again. It's going to be a dead ball foul. Watch for the shove coming here by Siddiqui on Kalon Thomas.
15-yard misconduct foul against BC number 93. It's first down Calgary.
Calgary's going to start with great field position again at their own 50-yard line. And when you look at how BC has played in this game, particularly with how their defense has been owned by Calgary's run game and the lack of discipline, a team that has some work to do to get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, you talk about the lack of discipline. 4 15-yarders against BC already in this football game.
The give to Kadeem Carey, untouched until he gets 5 yards deep into the secondary. Fights for an additional 4 yards, gain of 9 on that play. Carey really feeling it right now.
Yeah, let's watch the Calgary offensive line go to work here. You can see pretty big gap up the middle. Stampeders taking advantage of it. Seeing Bryce Bell getting lots of action tonight for Calgary, whether at the tackle spot or occasionally at tight end. The Wilfrid Laurier product coming back from injury this week.
Missed the last 6 games with a foot injury. Tommy Stevens fights for another easy first down.
Stevens gets to the box for 50. It is a Calgary first down.
Now, Calgary has been playing with 6 offensive linemen quite a bit in this game.
Yeah, part of that game plan. You heard Jim Barker talk at halftime about that size advantage between the Calgary offensive line and a BC defensive line that's a little bit light. Stampeders going big and trying to run that ball, win the game at the line of scrimmage.
First down at the BC 49-yard line for Calgary. The give again to Carey, lots of room. Fights his way for a gain of about 4. .74 rushing yards already for Carey in this game.
Yeah, Stampeders continuing to churn away. They bring the fullback long lay across the formation to lead block for Carey on that one. You have to like the way the Stampeders have used the combination of Kadeem Carey and Peyton Logan in this ball game, always throwing fresh legs, and the BC defense.
Everything between the tackles for the most part. Mayer drops back to pass on 2nd and 5. He is brought down. And this time a penalty. Betts and Barron both get there. Did someone make head contact? The flag came after the sack.
Flag thrown immediately upon contact here. You have to believe that's what's going to be called.
And another defensive penalty prevents the Lions
Major foul
from getting off the field.
BC number 90. It's a 15-yard penalty, an automatic first down.
An eye here on Matthew Betts. Nice move to get to the quarterback. Reverse angle look here.
So is that Betts or is that the offensive Bryce Bell's helmet that he hit?
Yeah, that to me looks like a tough call against the BC Lions, quite honestly.
Peyton Logan checks into the game. Nice crease. He breaks free to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Is he in? Reaches for the pylon. Waiting for a call. They're going to call him short at the 2-yard line. Peyton Logan with a 28-yard run, and the Calgary run game is absolutely owning BC's defense.
Yeah, look how many gaps by going with double tight ends there. How many gaps they're forcing BC to defend at the line of scrimmage. Great cutback there by Logan. Head coach Dave Dickinson talked to us this week about the little lift that he felt that Peyton Logan had given this team with his return to the lineup.
Tommy Stevens from the 2-yard line slides left into the end zone. Very little resistance by the Lions, and Calgary firmly in control.
And another drive aided by 2 15-yard penalties.
Incredible. Ryan Phillips can't believe it. Nothing you can say in that moment.
Here you see Tommy Stevens once again finishing it off. Behind Deontay DeMary, Zach Williams on the left side of that offensive line.
A 6-play, 60-yard drive in 2:38 as the Calgary Stampeders, in an almost must-win situation, playing arguably their best football game of the season, up 3 scores on the second-place BC Lions. Paredes with the kick. It's up. It's good. And it is 24 points on the board. Tommy Stevens with yet another touchdown in short yardage situation. Plenty to celebrate in Calgary.
Well, pivotal play on that drive was a roughing the passer call. Watch Matthew Betts coming from the right side of your screen. Woody Barron's coming from the other side. You know, and a little bit of my feeling is that this is a call based on Mayer's head snapping around as he's getting hit by both players. I'm not convinced that the initial contact is head-to-head on that play.
Paredes with the kickoff. Terry Williams takes it at his own 18-yard line. Williams looking for something, not much there at all. Kalon Thomas with another special teams tackle. And an injury to BC right here. Calgary fully in control. 10 minutes to go. They're up 3 scores.
To that game?
I might be going. I might be getting on a flight tomorrow to Philadelphia to cover that one for SportsCenter. Should be fun.
Yeah, terrific matchup. Great weekend of football on both sides of the border, as always.
Let's see if the Lions can get back into this one and make this a fun matchup. Right now, Calgary very much in control. Evans rolls to his right with Judge right there. McInnes comes back to it. Initially had the first down, but came back after. I think right now he's going to be just short. McInnes in place of Keon Hatcher in the offensive lineup for the Lions, doing his part.
Yeah, McInnes, who's been productive throughout this year whenever given the opportunity to get into the lineup. Came into this game 582 receiving yards.
4 for 70 in this game. The Lions' leading receiver, and consider that McInnes is the 5th leading receiver for BC so far this season.
I mean,
given the depth they've had.
Great depth, and you know, we've talked in the last couple of weeks about the Canadian talent of this team. It's absolutely remarkable.
Hardy takes the handoff, has some room, tries to cut to his right, brought down after a gain of about 6. And talking about McInnes, when Rhymes got back into the lineup and they got their full group, he got relegated to backup duty. Just 1 reception in the last 3 games coming into this one for McInnes, but when he's called upon, he is there.
Yeah, 6th overall pick in the 2019 draft. He was chosen by Saskatchewan.
Started 11 of 17 games for BC this year. Evans double clutches, checks it down to Javon Katoy, who has the first down at the BC 50.
And Dane Evans looking left initially here, about to throw it, then spots Katoy. Big Canadian sitting down over the middle.
Lions trying to go tempo here with Evans as he directs traffic. Last time they went tempo, we saw a drive end at the 1-yard line. Lucky Whitehead in front of Jonathan Moxey, can't get free. Gain of 3 yards on first down as Calgary showed pressure coming off the left side.
And Evans just looking to get the ball out of his hands quickly there. Finds Lucky Whitehead, but that's well defended by the veteran Jonathan Moxey on the corner.
Calgary showing pressure again. Evans drops back to pass, has a receiver who takes a big hit. Kobe Williams just lays out Alexander Hollins over the middle. That'll bring up 3rd down for the Lions, and it looks like BC is going to go for it.
And Kobe Williams continuing to make a name for himself here in his 3rd CFL season.
Let's take a look at the hit here.
There you see him coming downhill to blow that one up.
And Hollins doesn't drop many, but certainly not much he could do there with that hit coming right away. BC going for it on 3rd and 7. Feels a little early with half the 3rd quarter still remaining. Evans looks over the middle at Lucky Whitehead. He takes a hit. Whitehead hangs on. 1st down BC.
And you gotta love this catch from Lucky Whitehead. Critical 3rd down, got to keep the drive alive. He knows he's going to get hammered with Micah Alway in the vicinity.
And Lucky Whitehead has evolved a little bit. Last game, 4 catches, 3 of them were on 2nd downs, just enough for 1st down, so not just a deep threat. The quick throw to Whitehead again, takes the tackle, still picks up 6 yards. Brad Muhammad right there to limit the gain.
The Stampeders defense is throwing some hits around, but the BC Lions receivers unfazed. They're starting to make some plays.
Whitehead just took a knee after that hit from Muhammad, and the training staff will come in to take a look at him. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Lions try to finish their 1st drive of the game.
Lucky Whitehead, number 2 receiver on this play, the injured man, quick hook. Takes a hit. I think maybe just on his landing there.
Yeah, they're holding his left shoulder and left wrist. Reminds me of what happened a couple of years ago in Winnipeg when Brandon Alexander hit Whitehead over the middle and broke his wrist, forced him to miss about a month at that point. Evans drops back to pass on 2nd and 4, pulls the ball down, has a man as he checks it down. This is Hollins again. He's got the 1st down. Evans looks very comfortable right now, navigating the pocket against any kind of pressure.
Yeah, and you have to feel like his performance last week in Hamilton did nothing but help the comfort and confidence level of Dane Evans. Came off the bench, was perfect throwing the football and leading them in a winning field goal drive.
10th play of this drive. BC continuing to go with tempo. Play action pass. He's looking deep. Can't come up with it with Terry Williams, who is now into the game, replacing Lucky Whitehead. And you know they're not necessarily going to be on the same page given how little Williams plays receiver for this team.
Yeah, and Dane Evans forced to throw this ball earlier than he wants as the heat is on him. You can see Calgary loading it up at the line of scrimmage. Cam Judge quickly closing. Evans just taking a shot.
Just under 6 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter. BC went for it on 3rd and 7 earlier. We'll see what happens here if they don't get it. Calgary shows pressure, bring 5. He's got McInnes, who's got a 1st down inside the 10-yard line. McInnes still fighting before finally being brought down. Close to the 7 now. 16 yards for McInnes.
Yeah, can't say enough about how valuable Justin McInnes has been for this football team. And with injuries in the receiving corps, they don't skip a beat. They lose absolutely nothing with big number 18 in the ballgame. 2nd
red zone situation for the Lions. Hardy with the handoff inside the 5-yard line. Gets close to the 2 before being brought down. Wiggin, 1st man on the tackle. Lions keeping Evans in the game. Not going to go short yardage here with Dom Davis, given how the last one turned out.
First half fumble at the 1.
Hardy the handoff again. He is into the end zone. Touchdown BC. Jaquan Hardy with his 1st CFL touchdown.
Dane Dane Evans supplying the intended spark from the quarterback position. And Jaquan Hardy certainly making his bid to hold down the running back position on the Lions playoff roster.
13 plays, 75 yards, 604 for BC's first touchdown, and to pull them to within 2 touchdowns. Sean White on to attempt the extra point. The kick is up and good, like they have been all season long for the Lions kicker. BC finally with some momentum on blackout night. It is Hardy powering his way into the end zone.
Well, the BC Lions answering the bell here in the third quarter. Dane Evans on at quarterback, moving them down the field on a 70-plus yard drive. Doing a nice job navigating the pocket thus far, distributing the ball to a number of different receivers. Drive culminating in Jaquan Hardy's first Canadian Football League touchdown. Pulled the Lions back within 2 scores.
Justin McInnes with a number of key catches on that drive. Yeah. Also, it's looking good for Lucky Whitehead. We saw him jogging and catching on the sideline. They're saying it's a bruise to his shoulder and that he is expected to return. But first and foremost for the Lions right now, you need to find a way to stop Calgary's run game. Peyton Logan takes it at his own 16-yard line, crosses the 30, has some room, brought down past the 40-yard line. Ryder Varga with another special teams tackle for BC. For their training camp a few weeks ago. Had a good crowd for a preseason game against the Warriors.
You got the full scouting report?
Can't say that I did. I watch enough football, my friend.
I hear you.
Meanwhile, Mayer hands off to Kadeem Carey, gets the edge again, cuts back inside, gets 6 yards on first down.
Well, big night for Matthew Betts and the BC Lions. He was honored here in Stadium for breaking the Canadian Football League record for most sacks in a season by a Canadian player. He got his 18th of the year in the first half of this ball game.
And if you know Betts, like, he looked uncomfortable there, and we can assure you he was uncomfortable. He's not a guy that wants to bring that much attention to himself. Very serious young man.
Yeah, he just wants to play ball.
And the one common denominator between Betts and Brent Johnson is both of them had a never-ending motor.
Yeah, there's no question about that. We see it in Betts every play. Great quickness, tremendous work ethic, but non-stop pursuit of the football. And that's certainly applied to Brent Johnson during his time in black and orange. Think back to the days of he and Cameron Wake as bookends on that defense. Absolutely terrifying.
Calgary loading up the left side. This time the fake and give to Bagleton, who is brought down immediately. Gain of a yard on the play. Rugamba and TJ Lee in on the tackle. And that was a play that Winnipeg had plenty of success on against BC a couple of weeks ago here at BC Place.
Yeah, the Lions finding some solutions here. Bagleton moving left to right across the formation. But good pursuit to the football. Lead, Mojay Rugamba. Celebrate a big stop there.
Second and long from right at midfield for Calgary. Looking to his left, looking for a Punavanu, but Marcus Sales is all over that, and the Lions get off the field, assuming there's no penalty in the next few seconds.
Yeah, you can see Sales fighting to the football there, but watch for Matthew Betts coming from the top of your screen. Mixes up and goes bull rush here, catching Bryce Bell back on his heels.
2 minutes to go. Plenty of time for the Lions to get back into this. Cody Grace taken by Terry Williams at his own 7. Trying to find some room on the left side. Nothing doing. Calgary all over that. Jordan Herdman-Reed among the tacklers in red and white to stop the Lions returner. Let's take a look at Dane Evans here, who's looked fairly comfortable since entering this game at the start of the third quarter.
Yeah, Evans, veteran, had spent his entire Canadian Football League career in Hamilton prior to this season. This is a guy with whom you know the stage isn't going to be too big. It's not going to bother him whether he's starting, coming off the bench, whatever the situation. Dane Evans has been through it before in the Canadian Football League.
Lions bring in some extra bodies to potentially run the ball. This one deflected. Is it intercepted? It is. Nick Stats looks like he got his hands under the ball. A deflected pass, and Calgary takes over at the BC 15-yard line.
Well, nice job to get hands on this football at the line of scrimmage. Dane Evans. The undoing comes from his former Hamilton teammate, Julian Hauser. It looks like Nick Stats, University of Calgary grad. Then just to keep that one off the turf. Former Notre Dame high school star. One of a handful of them in the world of pro football. Stats, Sean McEwen, Colton Hunchak, all former Notre Dame players on this Calgary team. A couple NFLers from that program as well, and Dean Leonard, Emmanuel Bamiga.
His second interception of the season sets Calgary up at the 15-yard line. Kadeem Carey, the fake, the pass to Reggie Bagleton into the end zone, touchdown. 21 points off BC turnovers, and Calgary again reestablishes a 3-touchdown lead. Ryan Phillips wondering what happened.
Yeah, just searching for answers over there on the sideline. Just like that, maximizing their protection, going 6-0 line, but this time going to the air, play action. They've been so successful running the ball from that look. Perhaps catching the BC back end. Asleep at the switch, anticipating a run play on that one.
Great job, Reg.
Rene Paredes on to attempt another PAT. The kick is up. It is good. And Calgary up 21 with 20 seconds to go.
Reggie Bagleton is going to line up as the inside man on this one, just looking to get to the middle of the field. Busted coverage there as there's nobody on him as he comes off the line. Mayer picks him out right away. Looks to get the ball to him in a hurry. There's Julian Hauser, who had the tip ball that led to the Nick Stats interception.
Lions came into this game in terms of turnover margin at -7, 7th in the league. Calgary was +5, 3rd in the league. They avoided some turnovers early when Gary Peters, among others, had their hands on footballs, but every turnover BC has led to a touchdown.
Yeah, sometimes you got to be lucky to be good.
And you just wonder about what this does if these two teams shall meet, because if Calgary goes on to win this game and they're up 3 scores, they now have to win one game or have Saskatchewan lose one game to get into the playoffs. You've got to like their chances given what other teams are going to do with their rosters. And if that happens, then Calgary comes back here for the Western Semi. Terry Williams takes the kickoff, gets out across his own 35-yard line. BC takes over there. Dane Evans has some work to do. Just over a quarter to get it done here. This looks to be the final play of quarter number 3. And you know Evans, they'll keep punching.
Well, there's no question about that, and the BC Lions have plenty of big play receivers. They can get them right back in this one.
Jaquan Hardy takes the handoff. Not much doing there. And that's the final play of the third quarter. A quarter the Calgary Stampeders will remember. 31-10 through 3. The visitors in complete control when we come back for the fourth quarter here at BC Place. Not necessarily a lot of offensive fireworks for either team, but that turnover number really does jump out, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and obviously the fact that the Calgary Stampeders have been able to cash in on those turnovers, turning them into points, turning them into momentum as well in the course of this football game. It's been absolutely huge the way the Stampeders have done that with the run game. They've slowed the pace down, kept BC's offense standing on the sidelines a lot of the time in this game, so it has to go down in terms of that part of the game plan as a big success for the Stamps.
Start of the fourth quarter here. Stampeders up 21 points, 31-10. I'm not sure who had that in the pool. Well, FanDuel odds on a Calgary victory by 21. I'm not sure.
And I mean, you alluded to a possible playoff matchup between these two teams. We had a talk with Nick Lewis about that. The uphill battle of going through BC and Winnipeg to get to the playoffs for Calgary.
Calgary would probably welcome the matchup at this stage. Completion of Lucky Whitehead well short of the first down. BC went for it on the other side of midfield on their last drive. Doesn't look like they're going to do that here. And Calgary would come in here with a tremendous amount of confidence.
Yeah, and the point that Nick Lewis made is, you know, everybody talks about them having to beat BC and Winnipeg to get to the playoffs, but as he said, well, if we get to the playoffs, those are the teams we have to play. So one way or another, we got to find a way to beat them.
Lions have won the last 2 games against Calgary. Looking for their first sweep of the series since 2005. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Peyton Logan with the return, a big hit. Hinsberger. F1.
Jake Mayer looks to go back to work here. Kadeem Carey in the backfield with him. Carey, who's been the Stampeders' busiest and most dangerous weapon tonight.
I think we will see a steady diet of 35 and 20 here in the fourth quarter. Carey takes the handoff. Gets 3, maybe 4 yards in the play before being brought down. Woody Barron and David Menard near the tackle. 89 yards for Kadeem Carey. You know he's going to get the opportunities to get to 100. Still looking for his first touchdown of the season.
Yeah, it's been a different kind of year for Carey, battling through those injuries, but he's looking for a strong finish to erase the memory of any of that.
Penalty flag after the play. Looks like a block in the back on Calgary brings this one back. Looks like it happened late in the play. Didn't see the flag earlier. Apparently a low block which happened late.
And Dave Dickinson fired up on that Calgary sideline.
A legal low block against Calgary number 89. That's a 10-yard penalty. Reigns first down.
Watch for the Calgary receivers coming back in motion across the formation. That cut block coming from outside in. Illegal, so that'll back things up for Calgary.
Brings up 1st and 20. Hand off to Kadeem Carey. He is brought down. Trio of Lions there after a short pickup. Amir Siddiqui. And if you're Calgary, even at 1st and 20, just keep running that clock.
Yeah, run the ball, run the clock. It's one of those games where Calgary has clearly come in with a mindset that we're just going to run the ball. And in all sorts of situations to keep BC's defense off balance, they're going to continue to run it. And especially at this stage of the game.
Second and 17 here. There, drops back to pass. Steps up into the pocket, checks it down to Carey. Gary Peters right there. And we've got a penalty flag on this play near the Calgary quarterback, which could indicate roughing the passer.
Major foul, roughing the passer, BC number 90. 15 yards from the end of the play, an automatic first down.
We'll take a look at this one. Betts coming from the very left side of your screen.
It was clearly late.
Yeah. The unnecessary shove.
And that's the 6th 15-yard penalty for the BC Lions in this game. Again, second and extremely long. They were off the field. And this has been a huge problem. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the Lions came into this game with the most defensive penalties in the league at 62, and they've just added to it.
This is where you see the Lions getting themselves in a bit of a hole, and the guys talked at halftime about the Tehema penalty and ejection. Takes a defensive lineman out of the rotation. Now you've got Siddiqui, who's injured, being helped off the field. Another defensive end out of the rotation. Matthew Betts, knowing what the team policy is, when he got that unnecessary roughness penalty, he went to come off the field, and they told him to stay on because they're thin. They need him to stay on the field and play. But the penalties have put them in a hole.
A net of 23 yards on that play. And the interesting part of this, Calgary came into this game with really only a 5-man defensive line rotation themselves. They've been known to wear down late in games, but because they've had the ball so much, that side of their team hasn't been exposed in this game.
Yeah, it's, again, that complementary football that you talk about, all three phases connected in terms of what they're doing philosophically.
Peyton Logan, the ball carrier there, still on his feet. Logan gets the first down, almost squirts out for more. Not sure how he got out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody in the stadium thought he was down underneath the pile, and all of a sudden, Peyton Logan emerged to pick up another 4 or 5 yards. Here we'll get a look at it. He disappears into the mob, but manages to keep his feet on the ground. No other part of his body touching the ground. Here it is. Watch him. Stays upright through all of this. Great effort.
Another first down at midfield for Calgary. They continue to work the clock here. Logan staying in the game. Takes the handoff. Strings it down the line of scrimmage, but still a positive gain as Logan able to turn the corner for a gain of 3. Stampeders with 166 rushing yards in this game.
Yeah, churning away. And they're running the ball so much. It's interesting to watch some of the dynamics from up above. Kadeem Carey is on the sidelines. Carey came out for a break after his last run. Logan goes in. Logan's now had a couple of runs. He started coming towards the sidelines on that after that play. Kadeem Carey waved him back into the huddle as he's still trying to catch his breath over there.
This time the fake and the pass. Clearly Mayer throwing it away. And Matthew Betts was right there, and he went hands off.
Yeah, sending the message that his lesson has been learned. He's not going to give them any excuse. Betts this time lined up on the right side. That defensive end spot.
Gives a thumbs up either to Mayer or the official, one of them. Cody brace with the punt. Terry Williams takes it at his own 7. Makes a few moves, not much there at all. As the return game very quiet for BC. Matthew Betts, a busy man, having a conversation with his head coach. He'll try to be better when we come back. Time now for our Coors Light moment of chill, and it's Matthew Betts. We talked about it, a very serious young man before the game, but a memorable night for him. Starting here with the sack, this breaks the record for most sacks by a Canadian with 18.
Hey Matthew, Brent Johnson here. Congratulations on breaking the season record for sacks by a Canadian. You have become a major piece of this great Lions defense, and I look forward to watching you guys do more damage in November. I will see you back here in the playoffs. Go Lions go, and congrats again on the amazing season.
Then a bit of a celebration here from his teammates and the fans as they recognize the moment a little bit later in the game.
Yeah, very well deserved accolades for a young man of whom big things have always been expected, and he's really achieved them here in 2023. Fantastic season for Matthew Betts.
Dane Evans, meanwhile, drops back to pass with his team down 3 scores, pushes it over the middle. Cam Judge with the interception, his second inside the 10, and Calgary knocking on the door.
A fantastic play by Cameron Judge. Big pick 6 last week, adding to his total here tonight to set up the Stampeders on the doorstep.
Cam Judge and the Calgary defense celebrating here in Vancouver. Cam Judge, who grew up here in the Lower Mainland, has plenty to celebrate. Lots of friends and family here in attendance, and he's at his fingertips all over this game.
Yeah, and you're going to see Judge drop off into coverage after initially looking like he's coming on the blitz. Bails into the middle, getting underneath that route, elevating to go make the grab.
Looks like someone Judge knew. Lions fan nice enough to give her the ball. Calgary on the doorstep from the 9-yard line. Mayer into the end zone to Hakunavanu, broken up. Marcus Sales in coverage.
Good recovery there from the Lions secondary. Mayer and Hakunavanu having hooked up for a touchdown earlier in this ball game. Nice defensive play there by the BC halfback to get a piece of that ball.
Calgary with their 5th red zone opportunity. They were 4 for their first 4. Let's see what they do here on 2nd and goal from the 9. Mayer drops back, going left, this time to Bagleton. Mauger in coverage, pass broken up. For the first time after a BC turnover, Calgary doesn't finish with a touchdown.
Yeah, Lions defense holds strong here. Jake Mayer going back to the same area of the field, this time Reggie Bagleton, the intended target. Very nearly intercepted by Mauger.
Rene Paredes will come in after this pass breakup to attempt a chip shot. 17-yard field goal. That kick is up and good with 8:48 to go in the game. Calgary extends their lead to 24 points. Your former teammate's not going to stop coaching until the final whistle here, even with a big lead.
Well, Dave Dickinson wants to keep things rolling, keep the chance alive.
Doug Flutie sent this to him. told us this a couple of days ago. So you're telling me there's a chance. Former Stampeder quarterback keeping tabs on this game.
Yeah, and Dickinson and Flutie, ironically, paths never crossed in the CFL as teammates. They would have played against each other, but were teammates with the San Diego Chargers when both were south of the border. And certainly keeping in touch now.
Flutie, Dickinson, Garcia, Burris. If you're a Calgary Stampeder quarterback alumni, that doesn't leave you.
Yeah, not a bad group as you pretty good competition for the spots in that Mount Rushmore.
Lions meanwhile with the handoff to Jaquan Hardy. Doesn't look like BC is going to be in a hurry here to try to get back into this game down 24 points with just over 8 minutes to go.
And there's some consideration for the Lions, no doubt. This, their season finale, regular season finale, of ensuring that they get people taken care of before the playoffs.
This time, Evans finds Alexander Holland, who gets the first down close to midfield. But bigger picture, if Calgary winds up getting in, and we'll set it for you again, Calgary looking to extend their playoff consecutive season streak to 18. If they can get there, they come back to BC Place for the Western semifinal. In order to get there, they're going to need to win one or have Saskatchewan lose one. Calgary definitely in control of their own destiny, and they'd have to feel very good about their chances after this performance, because let's not pretend the Lions weren't trying. They might have made a business decision as it related to Keon Hatcher, but the decision to start Vernon Adams, they talked about wanting to put the pressure on Winnipeg and force the Bombers to keep playing, and that didn't work out for them.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I feel that Rick Campbell was kind of playing this game one half at a time and then reevaluating after the first 30 minutes. And after the opening 30, felt he had seen enough positive things from Vernon Adams to feel like he was ready to go into the playoffs, but maybe not enough from the team as a whole to leave Adams in for the second half of this football game and chase a very narrow hope of ending up in first place in the West.
Evans rolls to his right, finds Justin McInnes. There's a flag on the play. I think that was offside, likely Alexander Hollins.
Offside, Calgary number 13. It's a 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
BC's 11th penalty of the game. And we talked about defensively where they're at as far as penalties, but 8.4 per game coming into this was 7th most, factoring in all three phases, and their defense just can't win in the playoffs doing that.
If you look down at the very bottom of your screen, you saw Hollins just a little early with his get off.
Hollins and Katoy now in motion. Evans drops back on 1st and 15. Clutches, pulls it down, brought down by Derek Wigan.
Wigan, the veteran out of Queen's University. Guy known for doing the dirty work on this Calgary Stampeder defense, playing on the nose. Beats a double team here to earn that sack. Guy who's looked on as one of the leaders, certainly, of this Stampeder defense.
Dave Dickinson
back in 2014.
Dave Dickinson talked to us about their inability to generate a pass rush with 4. They're certainly making that happen in this game. Evans takes off, crosses midfield. He's going to be brought down well short of the first down. Got 12 yards on that play. Looks like BC is going to go for it on 3rd down across midfield here.
Isaac Adeyemi Berglund brings the initial pressure. Nice outside pass rush move to force Evans to step up. Quarterback decides to keep it himself and do what he can.
Third and 7 for the Lions. Evans drops back to pass, has one in his face, makes the catch. The completion, I should say, to Justin McInnes, who is still on his feet as he crosses the 40. Gets down to the 38-yard line. McInnes over 100 yards in this game.
Yeah, big outing for Justin McInnes. Guy who continues to make the most of every opportunity he's given.
Lions at the 38. Evans drops back, finds McInnes again. He goes down quickly at the 31. Almost went down awkwardly there as he gets up rather slowly.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier McInnes, 6th overall pick in 2019 by Saskatchewan. And they've kind of loaded up on Canadian receivers in recent years, which made him expendable. Great fit here in BC.
Hardy with the carry. He gets about a couple of yards before being brought down short of the first down. That'll be 3rd and 1.
Cameron Judge struggling out there after the collision.
Judge with 5 tackles and the interception in this game. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, just over 4 minutes as the Lions try to salvage some pride with a late score here.
Cameron Judge on the sidelines, looking a little better. We'll keep an eye on him on this play. He looks to get in on the tackle. On Hardy, may have caught kind of a knee to the shoulder as he dove in on that one. Whether that leads to a shoulder injury or a possible stinger. But certainly looks like he's doing better on the sidelines. A good sign for Calgary.
8th play of the drive, 3rd and short for BC. Evans takes off, runs with it, and has the first down.
And if Dane Evans is going to go down, he's going to go down swinging. Fighting for yardage on this one. Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund falls back in to try to get to him, but Evans just keeps the legs churning. Well aware of where that first down marker was.
Lions 1st and 10 from the 27. Brandon Dozier coming on the blitz. Lucky Whitehead with the reception. His first since his injury. Pickup of gain of about 8 on the play.
A little chatter happening after the play.
BC with their 3rd red zone opportunity of the game. Scored on one, fumbled on the one on the other. Should be the final play here before the 3-minute warning. Evans sends McInnes in motion. Drops back, finds Javon Couture, heads for the end zone, touchdown BC. Javon Couture with the score brings BC to within 18.
Well, Javon Couture at 6'5", over 230 pounds. Often deceptive in terms of what he does after the catch. High step in his way into the end zone for the TD.
BC going for 2 here. They're 0 for 3 on 2-point convert attempts so far this season. Evans drops back to pass. Finds Alex Hollins. That one's intercepted. Micah Alway with the interception. He brings it out to the 19-yard line. Lions turned away again on a 2-point convert. Calgary gets some momentum back after the touchdown, although they are firmly in control with 2:41 remaining in this game. The CFL on TSN continues tomorrow with the Argos against the Rough Riders. Also, the Elks take on the Blue Bombers. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, and continues all evening long only on TSN. Certainly, the Stampeders are going to keep a close eye, or the Rough Riders, I should say. Stampeders will keep a close eye on tomorrow's game with the Rough Riders. Rough Rider loss puts Calgary officially in the playoffs. Saskatchewan can pull out the victory. Calgary would need to win next week. Onside kick attempt for Sean White. The kick is up, and it is caught by Trey Odom's Dukes. Before being pushed out of bounds, Calgary will take over in BC territory.
And with 2:39 to go, the run game that's been so big for Calgary through the first 57.5 minutes of this football game should be featured even more prominently here as they just look to wind this one down.
Rough Riders taking on the Argos tomorrow, and we'll see what the Argos do with their roster. We understand Chad Kelly will play in that game, but not necessarily an extended amount. Can the Rough Riders stay alive? Extra bodies up front as they hand the ball off to Peyton Logan. Plunges into the line for a gain of 3. Calgary content to just run the clock down here. Don't expect BC to take any timeouts at this stage of the game.
As you alluded to, Farhan, so many dynamics at play in terms of these playoff races, remaining playoff races in the CFL. Not just necessarily for the teams involved in those races, but what will their opponents do roster-wise?
Tonight's results certainly going to make it easier on Winnipeg. They can take their foot off the gas, as it were. Mike O'Shea said he'd be watching this game to see the results so he can make some decisions on his roster in advance of that game. I can't imagine we'll see too much of Zach Collaros. Earlier we told you that Ben Haladic was knocking on the door of 100 tackles on a season. Well, he has done it. 6 tackles in this game. Get Ben to 101. He is the 4th Canadian with 100+ tackles in a season, the first BC Lion to do it.
Yeah, fantastic season for Ben Haladic, 3rd-round pick in 2021. I mean, this is a guy who forced his way onto the field. The Lions had 3 outstanding Canadian linebackers in Jordan Williams, Bo Lacombo, and Haladic. Williams dealt to Toronto in the offseason because of the depth that they had.
5th game of last season, Bo Lacombo was injured. Ben Haladic came in and just simply never gave the spot back.
Yeah.
Timeout.
Lacombo came back. They decided to make a rotational situation at the spot with Haladic getting the lion's share of the reps. It made Williams expendable, as you mentioned. He also wanted to trade back east. And then on top of that, the Lions, it gave some opportunity to Josh Williams. Ryder Varga is a player that really impressed BC last year in training camp. They sent him back to school. He's taken that next step, that if they need a Canadian to rotate into that spot, they've got the guy to do it. So, you know, a story there just in terms of a guy just saying, no, you're not taking me off the field.
Yeah, and again, you look at the success that BC has had with their Canadians. And we talked about this last week when they were in Hamilton, Marshall Ferguson and I. This is a team that in 2020, their first 2 picks are Jordan Williams and Nathan Rourke. Williams wins Rookie of the Year in 21. Rourke wins Most Outstanding Canadian in 22. Both those guys move on. And then this year you've got Matthew Betts with 18 sacks and Ben Haladic with over 100 tackles.
And the Lions' Canadian content at that point wasn't very good as Peyton Logan turns the corner on Bo Lacombo. Logan still going into the end zone. Touchdown, Calgary. Peyton Logan gets the edge, and they just don't catch him.
And nail meet coffin. Tremendous effort there from Peyton Logan. And what a fascinating dimension his speed and quickness add to this Calgary offense. It looks like defenders are going to have the angle on him, and he just turns it up and burns down the sideline. You know, we were talking earlier off air about the fact Peyton Logan and BC's returner Terry Williams were teammates in college. University of Tennessee Martin. Imagine having to account for the wheels of both of those guys, whether on playing against them on defense or covering on special teams.
Calgary now over 200 yards. Logan himself 8 carries for 105. Kadeem Carey 15 for 88. And this is a real point because last year going into the Western Semi between these two teams at this stadium, the talk was, how is BC going to stop Calgary from running the ball? And guess what? Dave Dickinson just didn't run the ball.
Yeah.
And he just said the looks they were giving us, it didn't make sense to do it. He took his own run game away. I don't see that happening after this performance.
No, I mean, this is, to me, something to build on going into the potentially the playoffs if you're the Calgary Stampeders. But certainly going forward as they have a matchup that may or may not be a big one against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next week. Obviously, depending what happens between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Toronto Argonauts tomorrow night.
This will officially clinch first place in the West for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers again. They will host the Western Final at IG Field. Lions will finish second. They will host either Calgary or Saskatchewan. Calgary now firmly in the driver's seat. With this win, they will tie Saskatchewan for wins. Again, if Saskatchewan wins tomorrow, Calgary has to win in the season finale against Winnipeg, against a Winnipeg team that will have nothing to play for. And if Saskatchewan loses tomorrow night, then Calgary is officially in the playoffs for the 18th straight year. Terry Williams takes the return out across his own 35-yard line. Let's take a look at those standings.
Yeah, in the West Division, you mentioned Calgary in a tie situation with Saskatchewan in terms of wins. Calgary has won the season series, so that's where they just have to have the same number of wins in order for them to earn that third and final playoff spot in the West Division.
And after all that Calgary has been through this season, last week a must-win situation. They found a way to come back trailing 13 points in that game to win it, and here turn in easily their best performance of the season, a complete performance in all 3 phases, a completely one-sided victory over a team that dominated them the last time they were here. Dave Dickinson talked about the fact that we just didn't give ourselves a chance in that game. They didn't give BC a chance tonight.
And I don't think the BC Lion fans are thrilled that with their team trailing that they're kneeling down the ball.
Well, at this stage, you're not coming back. There's no moral victory. You don't want an injury. Not a good look, but at this time of year, there is a practical element.
Yeah, there's a bigger picture that they're looking at.
Calgary will still get the ball.
Yeah, you would anticipate Calgary's just going to kneel down as well and run out the clock.
Absolutely. This is a different one here, isn't it? Where the two teams are just going to call it a game.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to garner any more highlights.
This is like curling. After you get to a certain number of ends and it gets one-sided, they just say we're done. They just say we're done.
Yeah, there is no rule to account for that in football. So when is victory formation not victory formation?
Curious to see how Rick Campbell approaches this with his team. Actually, I don't know that I'm curious, because anytime they've had a tough performance, he's been extremely positive in the locker room after. My guess is that'll be the same approach here, not wanting to cause any level of panic.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing for BC is getting ready for the playoffs. They came into this game with a slim shot at first place. I think they evaluated at halftime and felt like that shot had gotten slimmer and took Vernon Adams out of the game, and have sort of made other decisions accordingly. And you may not like the kneel down, but there's, in their final game of the regular season, you'd cringe if somebody got hurt on a play when you're down 25 points in the last minute of a game. So they're going to make sure that they get out healthy.
That should get us to the final kneel down here. Stampeders have to feel good about themselves. They have been pushing. Dave Dickinson trying to find some button that's going to work for his team, to work for his quarterback, and he has found it here tonight at BC Place.
Yeah, I mean, they found the formula to win last week. They found the formula to win this week. And these have been, for all intents and purposes, a couple of playoff games for the Calgary Stampeders. And they delivered. There may have been some nerves in the early going of this one. We saw a couple uncharacteristic drops from receivers, but they overcame that to turn in a tremendous effort.
The BC Lions had a bit to play for. That went away very early in this one. The Calgary Stampeders, Dave Dickinson will tell you, it is not how you start, it's how you finish. Going into the playoffs with momentum. His team potentially has that. They're not there yet. They still need one more result. If they get it, they will feel very good about what football looks like in November. SportsCenter's next with Sarah Davis and Jermaine Frank.
And welcome on into SportsCenter. He's Jermaine, I'm Sarah, and I'm not sure we saw the Stampeders winning that game as by a point spread as much as they did. And now back-to-back wins, they've got all the momentum on their side. I think the Rough Riders need to be a little nervous now,
absolutely.
Hey?
They are definitely nervous now. Stamps coming off a big win over the Riders. Nobody really gave him a chance because the Lions wanted to win because they were still fighting for first place. Not anymore. Alexander Holland's already in the Halloween spirit. Stamps win combined with a Rider loss Saturday means Calgary would clinch the final playoff spot in the West. Stamps driving in the first quarter. Jake Mayer spots Luther Hakanavanu in the end zone. 8-yard score quickly, 10-zip Calgary. Meantime, a Lions loss would give the Bombers the West Division title. Second quarter, Matthew Betts gets in for the sack on Mayer. That's his 18th sack of the year. Betts passes Brent Johnson and Jamal Westerman for the most by a Canadian in a single season. Outstanding. However, on the same play after the whistle, Sione Tehema headbutts a Stamps O-lineman, then punches him as well. He gets an earful from Rick Campbell. Tehema was kicked out of the game, understandably. The Stamps driving before the half. Mayer, with all kinds of time, airs it out. And Reggie Bagleton with the jump ball. What an outstanding catch. Tommy Stevens would punch it in. It's 17-3 Stamps at the half. BC decides to give Vernon Adams Jr. the rest of the night off.
Yeah, it's just my call. Vernon's completely healthy. I'm feeling good just based on the score. We're going to go try to win this game, but we're going to try to do it with Dane, and I need BA to be a hero in the playoffs, not today.
Makes a lot of sense. So Dane Evans now under center for the Lions. BC down by 14. Evans gets picked off by Nick Stats. First play after the turnover, Mayer to Bagleton for the 15-yard score. That makes it 31-10. The Stampeders dominating. Now the Stamps improved to 6-11 on the year. They can become the second team in CFL history to reach the playoffs with 6 wins or fewer in an 18-game season. The only team to ever do that was Edmonton in 1999. With more, let's go to Kate and the panel.
Alongside David Sanchez, Paul Epelise, Jim Barker, and a monster win for the Calgary Stampeders, and not so much for the BC Lions. Very disheartening going into the postseason that way. And the biggest thing we took away from the game was Rick Campbell's decision to pull Vernon Adams Jr., who was going for 5,000 passing yards on the season, in favor of Dane Evans. Jim, when you heard the decision, what went through your head?
Well, the whole game was just kind of shocking. This was a big game for the BC Lions. They choose to start Vernon Adams. He comes out publicly excited about getting to 5,000 yards, and then he plays a very average, a below average first half. He didn't connect. He got sacked 3 times. He just didn't play normal BC Lion Vernon Adams football. Now, this is their last game before the playoffs. The next time they line up at BC Place, it's a playoff game, and it could be against these Calgary Stampeders.
Yeah, it's very uninspired football, Jim. You think about coming off a bye. They are not ready to play. Double-digit penalties, guys, right? 6 15-yard penalties. An ejection in the football game. And the turnovers rear their ugly head once again for the BC Lions, you know, when they turn the ball over. You can't take penalties like this. You're not focused and ready to win a football game when these type of things happen. And they basically let Calgary, you know, control the game. Calgary scored in the red zone. They were able to run the ball. You know, I didn't think BC was able to stop their run all game long. So it just was uninspired football in a game that they said was going to be very important.
Yeah, I've been on a team with Rick Campbell before, and I could tell by looking at his face during that interview, he was visibly upset. And so much so, this is what was shocking to me. He felt the need that we're making the quarterback switch at halftime to tell a sideline reporter that the switch had nothing to do with Vernon's health. He had an easy out to just say, hey, we're going to let our star quarterback rest for the playoffs. We're going to move to Dane. But he wanted to let it be known. It has nothing to do with his health. We're moving on. And he also said, we want to win this game, and my gut tells me this is the way to go with Dane Evans. So to me, that was shocking. There's no quarterback controversy going in the playoffs. Vernon Adams is the guy. But they have some work to do in the next couple of weeks to get ready, because that was not good
But you
enough.
want your quarterback on a confidence high.
You want the team on a confidence high.
And that whole halftime statement, there was just no confidence in Vernon Adams in that statement.
Well, we'll see how they can turn it around the next couple of weeks. And a good thing did happen, by the way, for Matthew Betts. He did get the 18 sacks, a record for a Canadian. So congratulations to him, and also to the Calgary Stampeders with a monster victory as we send it back to SportsCenter.
New on SC, Jake Mayer with our Blake Price.
Jake, a near flawless great game for your team. How would you describe it?
A lot of joy tonight, that's for sure. We stayed composed. I think that was the biggest thing for this group tonight. We've never won 2 in a row. It didn't start great for us. Had some opportunities, just didn't take advantage of them. It is what it is, but we stay composed. And we just went back out the next series and just kept playing ball. I talked about it early in the week. We have to be a complementary football team. Every time the other side of the ball got a turnover for us, we cashed it in, man. So that's the name of the game for us. That's what we have to be. That's what makes us the best team possible, and I think that showed tonight.
What does that running game mean for your team?
What
does that running game mean for your team?
Oh, that's when we're at our best, man. I mean, you look at the past championship teams for the Calgary Stampeders, they're all able to run the football at a high level, and the last 2 weeks we've done a hell of a job of that. Anytime you control the line of scrimmage, you can slow down the pass rush, you can mix it up, keep them off balance, get some more man coverage, yeah, that was the difference, man. We ran the hell out of the ball.
Do you think you're going to be back here for a rematch?
I hope so, man. Like I said, we control our own fate. We got to win next week. Regardless of what happens out of our control, we can't worry about it. So we got another playoff game next week. We got to make it happen there. And I hope to be back here. I do.
Congrats.
Thanks, man.